So I don't have any props planned, but you probably know what works for you. Blanket and maybe a block. We'll keep it nice and easy, simple tonight. Thought we'd just start in our Seiza, our little hero pose. And you know, I sit like this kind of naturally, but this is a real pose for a lot of us. Just see what you need to do to get comfortable, but it does help open the knees and this whole shin, front of the foot area. So we can just sit here kind of as a warm up. And I thought for warm up, we'd do a little bit of neck and upper shoulder work. We won't do a lot of that tonight, but I know my neck is stiff. I think just too much sitting, straining. So just get comfortable and begin to come into your neck. Let it hang forward. Just let the weight of the head be very gentle. Don't even push anything. Just let it open in the back, chin down and then chin up. Just find your own rhythm and begin to bring some release to that neck, forward and back. And when you sort of feel done with that, come back to neutral and do the side to side. So your ear can just come towards your shoulder, kind of open up that side area of the neck. If it helps to elongate the opposite arm. But again, very gentle. I sometimes help it a little bit. There's a real tight area for me. So a little hand on the head might help open those tissues. And you can find an angle that feels like it needs it. If you look down towards the floor, or kind of roll to the back of the neck. See if you can find a hot spot there to breathe into and release. I kind of do this little head no back and forth a little bit to try to find it, and just do the other side. Same thing. Just find a good degree of opening. Oh my gosh. That is tight. Breathe in and release. Let's see if a little movement helps. Stay there as long as you need to, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it into circles now that it's been activated. Just ear to shoulder, chin up, ear to shoulder, opposite side, a few gentle rolls in one direction. The other direction. I could do an hour of just neck work, I think. Let your head float to neutral. Just very gently on the arms. Just bring the one arm across the chest. Use the other arm to kind of open the back of that shoulder. Also some area that comes up into the neck, actually. And the other side, when you're ready. You may have a side that needs a little bit more. And for the front cap of the shoulder, easiest, most direct thing to do is just to clasp the hands behind, stretch the arms, feel the shoulders roll down and back. If that's too much, you can, of course, clasp more just the arms or the wrists and kind of get that same movement in the shoulders. If you can clasp the hands, it can be quite strong. You can lift the arms away from the hips. Just breathe into that opening for a moment. And let go and just roll the shoulders sort of forward, up, and back. And around both ways. Sometimes feels good. And just a brief little toe stretch before we come to our first held posture. See if you can curl the toes. You've done this before, so you probably know how much weight you can bring to the bottom of the feet opening. Lots of energy centers there. Just do what you can. You can stay forward. Just curling the toes is very healthy for the feet. If you can sit up or even sit back, I'm not going to lean back today. This is plenty. A few breaths here. Feeling a lot of tingling. Probably means I need it. And just make your way to your seated position. We're going to be seated quite a bit tonight. And the first held posture is a dragonfly. So our legs can be wide and kind of a V. But you get the same, we're going to do a right and a left. So if it's more comfortable for you, gives you a little bit more hip movement to bring one leg in, do that. Sometimes the half dragonfly is just a better pose to get it some opening. And we're going to forward bend over, we'll say our left leg, but it doesn't matter, just pick a side. We're just going to very gently walk our torso forward over that outstretched leg. And target area here is definitely the hamstrings, but it can also be a little bit of this quadratus lumborum, these side muscles in the low back, which is what I need tonight. So I'm actually going to try to come down in a little bit of a twist. But you'll decide, you'll either come straight over the leg, or if you want it in that low back, you can almost come to the back of the leg, or you may find you're getting plenty more inside the leg. So play around with where you want to be. We're going to hold this for a good 3 minutes. And just release. Your hand positions are really incidental. I like to hold a little bit onto my leg to just keep that twist in. But your hands can just be relaxed to the side of the leg if that is plenty. Eventually, when you find some release and you let that quadricep relax, feet relax, back is going to round, the head can even come down. Now, if that's a lot for you, you can also bring a block or just keep yourself up a little bit and just sink into the pose. Wherever you getting that back of the leg stretch, a little bit of side lumbar work. Even stack your hands if that supports your neck a little bit, maybe not quite so deep. About 20 more seconds. 4 deep breaths, maybe. Or, of course, ease out of the pose whenever you need to. Good to use your arms to help you up so you don't have to contract those deeply stretched muscles. And because we're right and left, we probably don't need a counter pose per se. We'll counter those stretches onto the other side. You can bend that opposite leg in if that gives your hips a little bit more freedom, and just begin to make your way over that other leg. So target areas are hamstrings and the side muscles along the spine, actually into the side body, quadratus lumborum. And you can emphasize one or the other. If your leg really feels like it needs to stretch out, you can focus there, or give your back a little bit more emphasis, or just somewhere in between. Like I said, I've got some twinges in my low back, so I'm twisting, trying to feel that left edge of the spine in this pose. It's really a low back, quadratus lumborum. It's always interesting to me how the pose will shift midway too. I started out really feeling it in my lower lumbar. Now it's relaxed, so now I'm feeling it way more in my hamstring. Both are good. We've got another 4 or 5 breaths here if you're still benefiting. Deepen, shift slightly, expanding the area of the stimulation, and then just use your hands Let them help you sit up. And after that deep forward bend, sometimes it just feels nice to release the legs. You can just bring them forward and maybe lean back and open the chest a little bit. Let that back actually compress for a moment after that opening. We're doing okay, I hope. If anybody needs to talk to me, there's only a couple of us, so you can turn your speaker on. It's fine with me. We're going to go into a half saddle. So that's the one where we bring our foot back behind our buttocks. The foot in any position that works, that doesn't cramp your foot. Tonight I'm going to get a cramp. And the knee in any angle that works for you. This is about the front of the leg. It's about that quadricep. So we don't want any pain or undue strain in the knee. Whatever it takes, we're going to come back until we feel that long stretch in the front of the thigh. And you might be able to lie down, or you might stay up on your elbows or even up on your hands. I'm going to try to lie down, which will bring a little bit of compression into the low back, so you just have to judge whether that's okay. Mainly want to feel it here in the hip flexor and that front thigh without any pain in the knee. So watch for that. I forgot my timer. This is one of my muscle groups that doesn't feel like it gets any easier. So I just have to tell myself that that means I need this. It's just always going to be intense. Now you might have figured it out already. The position of the straight leg can actually be varied. Sometimes it eases the back a little bit to actually bend that knee. So you can play with that too. It doesn't have to be all the way straight. This pose isn't really about the other leg. It's about this leg that's bent behind. And some people actually get a deeper stretch by bending the knee. I'm going to ease the pose a little bit, just come up on my elbows. It's one of those nights where it's just tight. Okay, we're ready to come out. Nice 3-minute hold. Best thing to do is kind of roll away from that leg. No more strain on the knee that we need to let it unwind. And again, we don't really need a lot of counter stretch since we're gonna let this leg be relaxed while we bend the foot around and saddle that other side. So just take your time, get into what works on that side. How close the knee is to the other knee or how far out. And begin to find how far back you need to go. You can even come onto one side a little bit. Sometimes that relieves knee pressure, hip pressure. As soon as you feel that stretch, elongation of that quadricep, you know you're heading in the right direction. These saddles can really put some weird kind of strain on your ankles and front of your foot and all kinds of places that we are not really trying to target. So you gotta explore and see what works. Sometimes a blanket under that back foot. I've even sometimes had to curl my toes to prevent the front from cramping. I think we can take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. Begin to ease out of it if you need to. And we're just gonna, you can roll out of it like we normally do, but let's stay on our back to counter those for a minute. Just release the knee. You can come into bent knee, partial recline. And then just lift the right leg up. We're not really trying to stretch, we're really relieving knee here. So just hold on, soften the knee, move it slightly, let it get nice and straight and equal. You can also roll the ankle in little circles in case we built up any tension in that ankle. When you've done one leg, release that other knee, just let it come up towards the ceiling. Roll the ankle. And then bring both knees in. Little knee squeeze here. relieve any tension in that low back. And we typically bring our knees straight in towards our chest, which is really fine. But you might explore opening the knees a little bit and let them rock a little side to side rather than moving side to side. This little action of knees down and up alternating is a nice little back massage in and of itself. Whatever feels good. And then bring both legs up overhead. We'll do a little hinge up. We haven't done this for a while. So that both legs are towards the ceiling. Hands are just down by the hips on the floor. And you just gradually lower the legs to the floor and use your arms to help you sit up and bend forward. Little hinge up action. We're actually going to do a caterpillar, which is this another forward bend. Both legs are straight forward. I usually sit on a little height of a blanket roll. You can also soften your knees. Caterpillar, I don't do a whole lot because it's actually a very strong pose. It stretches the whole back of the body, starting at the Achilles, all the way on the legs, and all the way on the back. So you can kind of choose where you want to focus. If you bend your knees, it can be more of a back rounding stretch. If you straighten your legs and pull your feet forward, you can get deeper down the leg. So see what works for you. Both legs forward. Coming forward from these hip flexors and just seeing where your body can rest. Your head may come sort of down to the knee or a little forward of the knee, depending on how open you are. Your hands can hold on lightly, just as an anchor for that stretch. Or the hands can be relaxed by the side of the leg. Or you can prop your neck up if you get a little too much strain in the neck. So it's a good full body back stretch for 3 minutes. I should say back body stretch. And I'm starting with that little bit of ankle work, but eventually for the 3 minutes, I'm going to relax my feet. You can even widen your feet a little bit. Sometimes that frees the hips, helps you get a more forward bend action. So don't feel constrained in keeping your feet totally together. So the other forward bends we did had a little bit of asymmetry to them. This one, you should feel fairly equal. The right and left side of the back, right down the full center channel of the spine. Coming up, couple breaths, bring us to 3 minutes. Help yourself up nice and gently. And after all those forward bends, we're going to come directly to a little bit of back bending as our counter recovery into our Sphinx seal. So if you like that little bit of cushion under your hips, make that happen. Or just come forward onto your belly. And let yourself just rest for a minute. Just let that back release. Just lying flat like this is a bit of a counter to that forward bend. And when you're ready, we'll set up for Sphinx. Forearms are our support. Control how much of a back bend by how much you lift away from the floor. A little bit of action of the elbows towards the waist helps elongate. So you're not just lifting up into your most flexible part of your back. You're trying to get the back long and getting stimulation equally along mostly the mid upper back. We hold this for about 10 good breaths, nice and slow. Let your neck release. If that feels good, look up a little bit, bring your back of the neck into the compression. Couple more deep breaths. And begin to release. We're going to come down to our little toe hand neck stretch. Pick a cheek to rest on those hands and let the weight of the head twist that neck gently to the side. So I like to repeat the back bend. We don't hold it super long because there's muscle contraction involved. Even though we're trying to let the arms be our main support. So see if you can come up with straighter arms into seal. If that works for you. It just changes the target compression in the back. It's going to be a little lower in this version. Actually, made it a little bit easier on the shoulders, I think. Series of nice deep breaths here, and you just come out whenever you need to, or lower when you need to, or adjust the position of your hands. Just keep breathing and feeling that spine being arched. Counter to our normal posture during the day. Give you a breath or two to release very slowly, maybe down to the elbows first. Check in and then come all the way down, other cheek to pillow hands. So we get a stretch, other direction. Because we're on our belly, we're going to come into our twist, which is a nice release for the back from this belly thing. So bring one leg up and roll over the opposite arm. What I like about coming into the twist in this position is that the knee is automatically anchored to the floor. Now you're using the opposite arm to find your twist. And the arm may float, may not come down to the ground, but somewhere in between the knee to the ground and the arm to the ground, you'll find a nice twist. We're just going to hold this for a few breaths. The neck can look away from the knee to bring it into the twist, or the head can stay kind of neutral. Couple more breaths. Easy to come out of. You just come back to the belly. And set up for the other side. So I'm bending my left knee about waist height, letting it anchor down and letting the upper torso twist against that pelvis. Opening the arm and just letting it release toward the ground. Maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. Not holding long, we're mostly using it to release the back. So go ahead and roll back to the belly. And we're going to come back into a child pose just to release all effort in the back. Hopefully that's doable for you if you're lucky enough to be able to let your torso rest on the hips. Rest on the thighs, I should say. Let the head come down and just breathe with this passively round spine. The arms can be forward if you like that feeling into the shoulders. For this one, I'm bringing my arms back by my feet so there's no tension in the back. And just release the pose. For a stretch to the inside of the legs. This internal groin, this long, fairly tight tendon in the inside of the leg. We're going to do frog. And you can pick a half frog. This is a strong pose for a lot of us. But it's nice because we can come into it from like a wide child. You can sit on your heels, stay up a little bit, or you can sit between the heels. You're just going to come forward, trying to find a position of the hips between those open legs that isn't too much pressure, that just opens that groin, inside leg tightness. You might not come down to the floor. I'm going to stay on my elbows. Some people are very comfortable here to just flatten out on the floor. I hope everybody's doing okay. This one can get intense. So you've always got permission to just do half and come back, or come to a more comfortable child version. We'll call this one at 2 minutes, so you've got about another 20 seconds. And then come out however works for you. I'm going to just recommend we come forward onto our belly, so that if you come forward, that pressure, you can just ease your legs back together. Be on your belly, and we'll do a little, I forget what this is called. I guess I used to call it froggy, but it's a different frog. It's basically saddle on our belly because it's a quad stretch. So just bend the right leg. And what we want to do is open that front of the leg by bringing the heel towards the buttocks. So that might not be very far for you. The more you press your hip bones into the floor, the more you're likely to feel it in the front of the leg, not in the knee. That we don't want it in the knee. And some people can get their heel all the way to the buttocks, or even past the buttocks to the side. But just see where you can try to open that knee, open the quad, one leg at a time with the help of the hand and the knee bending. When you're ready to release, just release that hand. Let the leg flatten down. And try to find the other side. Same target area, front of the leg. I tend to grab my toes just because I like the footwork, but you don't have to. You can grab more your shin or your ankle, whatever works to just feel that stretch. Just stay where you are unless you're very open and you want to try the double version of this pose. You can see if that feels good. I got foot cramps, so I'm going to just release whenever you're ready. And we're gonna make our way to our backs to finish out. So just come roll down to the bent knee position. Let that spine release. Partial recline. Just to come up onto the outside of our leg a little bit. That IT band area, we'll do a little reclining pigeon or thread the needle. Right leg comes on, the foot comes onto the left thigh, little figure four, and then grab where you can to help pull that right foot towards the chest. You should feel this outside of the buttocks. It's a hip opener, but it's also part of the leg muscle that connects up there. Sometimes called a reclined pigeon. It's the same action. And come out of it, just lower the leg, uncross. Check in with your spine, set up for the other side. Some people actually like to grab their shin to help pull that hip open. Most of us thread our arms through that little space in the figure four. Whatever gives you the best stretch here and work. I think it's time to release, just let the leg go. One more little knee squeeze, hug into the chest. This time rock side to side. That feels good. We're heading to our finishing. I'm going to recommend a little bit of a reclining butterfly. So if the knees come out, the feet stay together, see how that feels. We're heading to Shavasana, so if you've had enough on the hips and legs, you can keep your legs straighter. Sometimes I do a fairly wide butterfly, so it's not very intense. Just a little intermediate hip opener as the back releases. Not too strong. And then you can just one leg at a time, let it go long, or both legs can just go long on the mat until you're nice and fully stretched out. And make whatever adjustments you need to release the hips, the back, the feet, the shoulders, and the neck. Sometimes I actually have to help my neck release by clasping behind it and getting it long so it doesn't have that sort of habitual tension. Maybe roll it side to side and just find your way into a nice full body relaxation. Just begin to bring a little movement back into your fingers and toes. Roll to one side, staying low for a breath or two. And make your way to sitting when you're ready. Thank you all for practicing with me tonight. I hope it felt good. My mantra this week has been to go try to find some good trouble to get into, a la John Lewis. Such an inspiration. Namaste.